Welcome to Camouflage Super Duper Juicing presentation presented by our Maritza and our wonderful audience here. I guess we'll go right into juicing and see what we can put together.
Great. Thank you everybody for coming to my first presentation, the first official Camouflage presentation of juicing. I'm going to go into a bit of juicing 101. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with juicing is a way for you to get additional intake of your fruits and vegetables that normally throughout the course of the day, most of us likely have difficulty consuming the amount of vegetables and fruits that are required. I began juicing for your own information in October of last year, and I love it. I consume probably, I would think my weight, but not so much, in vegetables and fruits throughout the day. I drink 2 cups before I even get into the office. I have other supplements that I take throughout the day, and also when I get home, I drink another 2 glasses before I go to bed. And that's in addition to actually eating the raw, natural form of either the fruit or the vegetable that I'm consuming. So with that, we're going to start. My levels have gone down in terms of I was at the pre-stage of hypertension and also cholesterol, and that's helped, along with other changes in the lifestyle. So it's just another additional change. In that information that you got, this basically juicing 101. It doesn't necessarily tell you, yes, you must juice. It's a choice that you've got to make, but it goes over a little of the pros and the cons. And again, as I referenced, it's not to substitute meals. It's not your fad diet to quickly lose weight by drinking and consuming nothing but liquid, but as a supplement to help those of us that aren't going to eat, a bushel of apples, a day, and just the benefits of eating and having the vegetables in whatever combination, just in a more accessible form. Now, this machine that I'm using, and the last page also contains information regarding the different available blenders and juicers that are on the market. And it's not recommending either one, though I will speak to this one because this is the one that I own. They run from various price points, and I've given some additional information in terms of thinking points and whether or not you're actually going to use it. YouTube is a great resource to go through and see the different models. There's lots of demonstrations, head-to-head battles, Vitamix versus the Blendtec versus a Ninja Master, so you can see really, what you want. I know for myself, I traditionally had a Jack LaLanne juicer before, and it worked, but for that particular model and machine, it was clunky, and I had to separate all kinds of compartments, and I had to fish out the pulp, and I wasn't the one to bake a muffin with that pulp or to use it in cooking, which is what's recommended to be done with that pulp, because the pulp actually contains all of the good stuff, the vitamins, the minerals, and the nutrients, and typically, most of us, we dump it in the trash. So we're getting juice, but we're not really getting any of the benefits and the added natural elements of the juice. Whereas a blender or a machine such as the Vitamix, it pulverizes and emulsifies whatever you put into it, that you get everything. So skins go in, stems, cores, seeds from the apple, grapes, stems, seeds, the whole kit. I crush and drink, besides just that particular item, but an avocado kit with other vegetables and juices, and it grinds it up. So it's just different talking points, and with that, I will start juicing. Typically, the motor is very loud, so you start with the liquid, and I'll put in. I learned from the first group. I made it the way that I like it, which is a little chunkier. So this time I will make it a little less chunky. A little less chunky. So you start with the liquid always, so you can have a base and something to get the motor flowing. Then you pack it in with whatever vegetable you want. I usually like kale, but I thought kale would be a little strong for this first go around. Baby spinach is definitely a great source. And in addition to the water, if you don't want to use water, you can use whatever fruit juice that you like, but make sure that it's the whole form of the fruit juice and nothing else is added. And with that, be careful in terms of the amount of additional sweet fruits that you add, and also any sweetening supplement, because the fruits, apples, pineapples, whatever you put in addition to carrots and some vegetables, have natural sugar in it as well. So if you want to do a little bit of juice and a little bit of water so that it dampens the amount of sugar, then that's the way to go. But if you're going to use a fruit juice, then just watch how much additional sweet fruit that you add. So with that, and Latoria is going to go through the different benefits and goodies that are chock full in each one of these. So the first is baby spinach.
Okay. And with the baby spinach, it's a great source of the omega-3 fatty acid. One of the richest sources of iron among green leafy vegetables. It's definitely a cancer fighter, mostly for colon and prostate. Has several vital vitamins: vitamin A, vitamin C, flavonoid, vitamin K, and niacin. And it's good for the vision and bone protector. It's also an immune fighter and it's combat for anemia.
Right, and that was another reason why I really started juicing. I am severely iron deficient anemic to the point of having to have iron transfusions throughout the year to boost my levels, because the over-the-counter and even prescription iron pills don't provide enough. So any extra leafy something that I can get into me, the better. Then we will put in some carrots.
Carrots, another source of fiber, vitamin C, potassium, and vitamin B6. Also has calcium and magnesium. A cancer fighter as well for colon. Lowers the risk of cardiovascular diseases. And is good for the eyesight, skin health, bones, and teeth.
Okay. We'll put in some celery. And I've chopped it up in little bits just for ease of motion, but literally you can just put in a stalk, or I just break things in half. But now we've got some celery.
Celery is a role of eliminating excess body fluid, manages pain from arthritis, weight loss, detoxification, and it boosts the cardiovascular muscles. Cancer fighter as well, lowers the cholesterol, and reduces your chances of attack or stroke, heart attack or stroke.
We've got some apple. Green apple I'm using because I like a firmer apple, but you can use any kind of apple that you want, and the benefits are the same.
Leading dietary source of soluble fiber, provides almost 8 ounces of water to the body, is the equivalent of one large apple. Helps with the lung function, lowers respiratory problems, including asthma. It's good for the brain, and reduces cholesterol, risk of heart diseases, and stroke. Wards off breast cancer and decreases diabetes risk.
I'm also going to put in a little booster, chia seeds. We probably know them, some of us, if the timing is right. Know it from the chia pets. And yes, it is that same seed, but there's a lot of benefit to this little seed. So I just add it in as a little boost, and it also gives a little textural crunch, which is something that I
And as she mentioned, it contains all the 8 essential amino acids. It's an important role for regulating insulin levels. Helps with the triglycerides, lowering your blood pressure, and it's tasteless, so it doesn't add or take away from your food. Also a diabetes fighter.
And I am putting in some grape tomatoes. As a non-lover of tomatoes, this is the only way that I can consume tomatoes in this little bite size in its natural form, and also in the juice. But tomatoes are an excellent source of nutrients as well.
Full of beneficial fiber. Reduce damage to the cells, risk of prostate cancer, lowers your calorie, high in vitamin C, potassium, and antioxidants, and also a cancer fighter.
Yes, questions.
Can you tell me more about why you put tomatoes in there? Tomatoes are not my favorite.
I put tomatoes in, and lucky that you should say that. Tomatoes are also not my favorite, and this is pretty much about the size of the tomato that I will consume. I don't like anything tomato-based, but I find that tomatoes are rich in vitamins and nutrients, and a couple of handfuls in there, I know they're giving me a good boost and a benefit. And it's definitely something that I would never, ever just grab on my own to add to a salad or anything. So the juicing is also, as long as you toss in an apple or something to give it a little bit of sweetness, those vegetables that as a child or as an adult we don't want any part of, that's your opportunity to introduce them into the juicing and into the juice without actually really tasting what you don't like. And the last thing that I will add, and I'll also add it when I'm actually start the process, is blue agave nectar. It comes from the agave plant, and it is a natural sweetener. It is 25% sweeter than natural sugar, so you need less of it, but it goes a long way. And for those of us that have diabetic issues or are concerned with sugar, it has a low glycemic index, so that means it absorbs slowly into the body throughout the day, so it doesn't spike your sugar levels up or down, depending upon how much you consume.
So that means you don't get a sugar crash.
Exactly, and a sugar rush. So I just put up.
She did a perfect job with that. That's exactly what I have here. Thank you.
And that, and then we just to make it. Sometimes I like things at room temperature, but if you want it to be a little extra cold, and for that you just add a little ice to it. So if you think about it, you're getting water or a liquid at the bottom. Carrots contain water, the greens contain water, apples contain water, the celery contains water, the tomatoes contain water, and then you top it off with some more water. So everywhere you're in good shape. And this particular machine is quite loud. So I will start at the low speed, and as it starts to whip up, it will pull from the top and drag it into, I guess, a little vortex to grind it up. And you can let it run for as long as you want for a smoother texture, or less if you don't mind the chunk and you want a thicker environment. So with that, start up. So it's at speed like 1, and they tell you to gradually do it, and I'm still doing it that way, but you'll see in the demos, people just whip it all the way up to the next level. And you'll hear the motor turning, and it sounds different as it's encountering crunchier and harder items, but it's just routine. And this trusty tool is the tamper, which I see I will need to use. But that's if you've got some extra hard stuff and you need to really get it in there. This is at the lowest speed at the high volume, and then after it's crunched up for a little while, you can brown that to the high. I'm sorry.
Do you ever recommend like an almond milk, or do you normally just keep it clear liquid like water?
I know, depending upon what I'm doing for the green juices with vegetables, I like to use either water or a combination of a fruit juice and a water. Typically a pink grapefruit juice, an orange juice, because I don't happen to like either of those things in their natural forms. So I'm continuing to work on that. But if I'm making a fruit smoothie or something, either skim milk or almond milk, you can use. And with this particular machine, it's an investment. In there, you'll see there are various price points, and the large bulk warehouse, the BJ's, the Costco's, the Sam's, they typically sell them at a better rate than the local retailers, and sometimes there's some additional, goodies that they'll throw in. But I decided this ran about $3.70, about $3.75. But I decided because this did more than just blend or juice. If I let this run for an additional 5 to 6 minutes, this will become hot and it will become a soup. And I can pour it into steam coming out, and you can have that within this tool as well. And I don't like to. I've done it once just to test to see that it actually did do it, and it does. But I don't find that I should needlessly waste the motor churning like that. So I'll get the base of the soup started by grinding, using this as a food processor basically, and grinding everything up, and then I'll warm it and heat it up on the stovetop normally, just to save the wear and tear on the motor. But this does have a lifetime warranty, and I know people that have had it for many a year. Also within this, you can make your fruit smoothies, your combination juices. You can make yogurts. You can make mayonnaise. What else? You can also make ice cream. Your fruit smoothies, the same. It churns for 3 to 4 minutes longer than juice form. It thickens up, and it becomes a sorbet or an ice cream. Also, I no longer purchase store-bought peanut butter or pay the premium for the natural peanut butter. This can grind, in this container, can grind raw, natural nuts. So you just take whatever nuts, cashews, almonds, peanuts, you roast it a little bit on your stovetop, throw it in there. About 4 or 5 minutes later, you've got peanut butter that's only contained with peanuts. Only peanuts or almond butter in its pure state. It lasts anywhere from 2 weeks in the fridge or a month in the freezer. And you do small batches. You don't need to, a pound. And there's also a dry container, which is a little bit smaller. And with that container, you can make your own flour. So if you've got any food sensitivities, you can really control and make sure that I'm eating, what the label that I'm purchasing tells me that's in this container. But you have that peace of mind. So if you've got bulgur wheat or rice, you can put that in there and whip it up, and it will turn that into powder. So you've got your rice flour, you've got your wheat flour, anything you want. So it's a versatile tool. So that's why I chose this one more for the bang for the buck, and also the versatility in the machine and the cleanup, which you can see. You just rinse it out and chew.
So it's more than a vegetable vortex.
Oh yes, it is.
And did you find recipes, or did you kind of experiment?
I experimented with this particular site, and I'll add more water because I know folks. With this particular model, the Vitamix, there's a website, of course, and there's lots of recipes that come with it. It also comes with a big book of about 100 different recipes in it, but online you can find all kinds of different recipes. And again, the fun of it is that you can play around with all the different combinations that you want and put whatever you want. Sometimes it's a miss, and then not to make that combination. Okay, so my husband is the guinea pig, and also myself. We ultimately end up drinking whatever is juice because it's still vegetables or whatever and good for you, but we know that's not the combination to go with, so tweak it a little next time. So, but yeah, you can play around and do whatever form you like. So let me get that going. Whatever people usually think it's going to taste like, some people it tastes exactly what they think and envision, but for most it's interesting, and then once you develop a taste for it and start doing it more on a daily basis, it's something that you're used to. But you have to go into it knowing that it's not your sugar-laced juices, and that's not the intent of it. I was also, prior to buying this particular model, I was a big proponent and drinker, or purchaser of the naked juices and the boathouse juices that you can find in your grocery store, but which contain, I thought I was doing really well. It had all kinds of vegetables and good stuff in it until I really looked at the label one day, and it is chock full of sugar. And besides the sugar, there's something in it that's not labeled that somehow gives it a month to a month and a half shelf life in your refrigerator. So something is in there that's not natural, because most fruits don't last that long without any additional supplement to it. So with that, I will let you guys come on up and try. Well, for spinach, a handful of raw spinach is about, and it's about a pound of spinach, is about 20 calories. The carrots are also in 20 to 30 calories. This whole entire drink, because it doesn't contain processed sugar, and it's water-based and ice, which is more water. A cup, and typically the cup size should be anywhere from 4 to 8 ounces. That runs probably about 60 calories. Depending upon what you put in it, any additional stuff, it could run to be 100 calories. So I use this also as a supplement, sometimes depending upon my day, as a meal supplement. One meal. I don't recommend that this is to replace your normal diet. But if you don't have time for a big breakfast or something, you grab a cup of this. If you don't want to have time for a big lunch, or you don't want a big lunch, or you just grab this and substitute that. A snack, that bag of nuts or that yogurt, you can substitute that if you want for it. And the more and the different amounts of things that you put in, that will increase the calorie count. So the sweeter, you also have to be concerned with the level of fruit that you put in. While we are getting the nutrients from the fruit, you do have to realize that fruit has natural sugars in it. So you want to put a little bit, a couple of slices of apple. You don't want to go overboard and put 2 apples to a container. Then you've laced it with sugar.
So actually, what does it taste like? I mean, with all
You're about to taste.
All right.
What's the shelf life in the refrigerator?
And the shelf life, well, for us, because we consume it quite a bit, and on our own personal side, besides my anemia issues, my other half is also going through some health issues, and he swears that the juicing has helped him, whether it's psychological or not. But we know that internally, you're feeding your body with better items. In our household, it lasts, and I'll make a 64 to a 96 big jug from the juices that we used to have. It lasts 2 days in the fridge, maybe 3. And I also have begun to juice for my mom, and I deliver the juices to her, and that's what she drinks for breakfast, and that lasts 5 days. And
Can you juice for me?
I can juice for you, so I just wanted to taste it to make sure.
Now, do we got to do it the way like you did it? Or
You can put whatever you want in it. So if you're a fan of spinach, which I am, you can chuck spinach. If you like kale, different kinds of garden salads, those garden salad mixes, lettuce. I've done it with lettuce instead of this, a combination, whatever your heart's desire. And the fun and joy of it is that you can test things, and you can use yourself or your friends as guinea pigs and know, well, this recipe or this particular one didn't really work, and I don't like this, and you don't ever have to do it again.
now, what all recipes have you done, bro?
Well, this particular one is my favorite. I'm a fan of pineapple, so I've got a lot of pineapple as well. And another thing is you can buy in bulk and break everything down. It takes 1 day or an hour of some chopping work, some prep work. Throw it all in the freezer, and then afterwards you can just start chucking in. But I throw in cranberries if I feel like cranberries, grapes, the seeds, the stems, everything. You can freeze the grapes so that you make an investment on a purchase. You don't want it to go bad. You can throw some fresh grapes in there, but you can also save and stretch your dollar some more and just freeze it. And in freezing it, you sort of replace the ice requirement, so you're getting the best of both.
So how would you go about if you would just put fruit in there? I mean, how would you go about, the quantity of fruit that you would put in there?
I typically just eyeball it, but anywhere from a couple of slices because it goes a long way. And for me, I prefer to put more of the vegetable base and the leafy greens, more of that, to a 2-to-1, sometimes a 3-to-1 ratio. You only need a little bit amount of fruit to make it sweet. But if you're wanting to make a fruit smoothie, then you can load it up with whatever fruit you want. But you do have to realize, again, the amount of sugar that you're consuming, because fruit has natural sugar. So just limit the cup size. We in this country tend to supersize, and our normal ounces of drinking is 12, 16, 18, and 20, and the normal cup size is 8. So we've got to keep that in mind when we're making the juices.
How many